we'd all heard the tragic news the other day about the actor Lance Reddick dying at the age of 60. I mean, I'll show you his IMDb page in a minute if you don't happen to know a whole lot about him, or if you happen to know him just from Destiny. Here's a article from Forbes.com. Thousands of Destiny 2 players honor Lance Reddick's Zavala in the tower. If you haven't played Destiny or Destiny 2, he plays Zavala, which is one of the main guys, the main objective givers, and he is big into the story and all this stuff. It would take way too long to explain his impact in the game. He's probably the biggest like recurring character over and over, and he's got the very distinctive voice because he did a lot of voiceover work, a lot of acting work and stuff. He was a great actor. He would bring a sense of like respectability and stuff to whatever role he was in. You could basically have him playing some bullshit, poorly written character, and he could turn it into something good. For example, I'll link this in the description box and stuff. There's not a whole lot to say other than just basically in every instance and stuff, a lot of players are paying homage to him and stuff. There he is in the game, characters kneeling and so on and such forth. I mean, it's a very touching thing because of what he meant for Destiny. Like he actually played the game and he would play it with people and he would talk about it and he actually knew it. It wasn't just he shows up to do the lines and then got the hell out of there. He actually cared about the game. He played the game and so on and so forth. There's a lot to go into in terms of that. But here's his IMDb page. As you can see, he's got tons of stuff. I mean, hell, there's going to be stuff that's going to be posthumously released. And I mean, but like an example of what I was talking about was like with the Resident Evil series that was on Netflix. That series was the less said about it, the better. He was the best thing about that show, bar none. No offense to anybody else, but he was so good. And if you've seen the stuff he's in, I mean, obviously we know him from Oz and The Wire and the John Wick series and stuff. But I mean, here's just a take. You see, he's in Horizon Forbidden West. You know, Man of Fire. He guest starred on Young Sheldon. He was on Godzilla versus Kong. Does One Night in Miami. There's the Castlevania. Uh, you know, there's DuckTales. I mean, you see like a huge variety. American Horror Story. I mean, it's ridiculous. Rick and Morty. Well, man, there's more John Wick because he's in all the John Wicks and stuff. The Quantum Break. Tim and Eric's bedtime stories. It goes on. He was on Castle. He was on Key and Peele because he could be very funny as well. If some of his stuff with like Eric Andre and everything. I mean, he was in the Old Boy remake. Payday 2, with the show Wilfred. Comedy Bang Bang. He was on Fringe. Of course, that's where most people, I imagine. Well, I shouldn't say most people, but I would say a fair amount of people would know who he is. And of course, he brought the gravitas and everything. And of course, that entire cast was really good. That's just that Fringe is one of those shows that it probably didn't get the attention it deserved, at least in my opinion. But whatever. I mean, look at that. He was on an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Jonah Hex and a couple episodes of Lost. He was in the 50 Cent video game. There's The Wire and stuff. Numbers, Law. I mean, Law and Order. He did a lot of stuff, and it's tragic that he died at only the age of 60. I mean, hell, that's so young. I mean, I know at the same time, well, at least he lived to be 60. But it's like, man, that's so young. And as Paul Tassi here says, that voice. There's only one, will only ever be one. As it mentions here, it's never recast over the years. There's some more. 'Cause that's his, character in game, like I said earlier, and everything. It's just one of those things. It's like he's one of the finest actors, around. Period. At least in my opinion. Other people might disagree, but if you wanted an authority, like an authority figure who just brought instant credibility, that was him. If you wanted somebody who you were almost kind of playing almost like how Andre Brower was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as Captain Holt, and he brought like a gravitas to it, but then he would do humor and stuff, and it would kind of take you off guard. You'd go, whoa, Lance Reddick could do that. He could do so many different things. He could be funny. He could be He could be the hero, he could be the villain. He was, he would kind of be a chameleon in a sense, but at the same time, he would still bring like a constant, I hesitate to keep saying credibility, but it was just, you believed that he was the character. He was so good, and that voice was so powerful that he could make you believe. He would have been great in pretty much a lot of different roles you could imagine, you know. And I mean, and he was. I mean, if you haven't seen Oz, that show may not be for everybody. Same with The Wire. You know, The Wire's a really, really good show in some ways, and in other ways, maybe not as much. It depends. You know, uh, tastes are different for everybody. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble here, but I'll link both these in the description box. If you want to read them for yourself. There's not a whole lot to read with the IMDb. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to read, but it's just, you know, you can look that up yourself if you really want. But anyway, you know, Paul says, you know, he's actually choked up seeing all these, you know, flood in from like the emotes from the players and stuff and everything. And it's like, you know, I mean, that's saying something. That the guy, like I said, it wasn't just a paycheck to him. He actually played Destiny. He loved Destiny. He was, you know, I mean, he was not like he was writing a story or nothing, but he was like highly involved with like the community in ways and stuff. But anyway, like I said, I'm starting to ramble, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.